Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with British and Free French leaders meet in Cairo. We are now on British evacuate Benghazi, April 3rd, 1941. Germans advance in Libya. The withdrawal of large numbers of British troops from Serencia? Krinicia? I'm not sure. Enabled the German divisions that had come to Italy's aid in the previous month to push the slender British forces back. On April 3rd, the enemy entered Benghazi, but the British were able to destroy all war materials they had previously captured from the Italians. The pictures show the advance of a German panzer division along the coastal road in Chechnya. I think that's Chechnya. That sounds about right. Might be wrong, but the natives in the lower picture appear to be accosted by the sight of tanks. So there we see the Panzer Division entering. Well, actually, it's along the road, but yeah, and obviously the German panzers are well feared at this point because of what they did in France and the rest of Europe. And here we see these townsfolk just kind of like, honestly, they said accosted, but it kind of just looks like they're like, more tanks, more people invading our city. Are you kidding me? They look more annoyed than anything. Axis ship detained in American ports. April 4th, 1941. Merchant ships scuttled in America. After acts of sabotage by crews of Italian merchant ships in American ports, the government decided to place Axis vessels in protective custody. This example was followed a few days later by other American republics. When Italian steamship Fella, top left, top and left, there is no top left, okay, and the German Eisenach, top right, were set on fire at Punta Arenas. The Costa Rica government charged their crews with arson. Below, seamen from Conte, by Nakanomo, I don't know if I said that right, being taken into custody at Ellis Island. There we see those two. There's the Italian ship, there's the German ship. So this is the Fella, which is a goofy name, but the Fella. And this is the Eisenach? Not sure. And then here we see the Conte Baincamano. Right there, that word right there. I can't say that, but them being taken into custody here at the port at Ellis Island. South African troops enter Addis Ababa in triumph. April 5th, 1941. Abyssinian capital recovered. On the evening of April 5th, South African troops, after an advance of 700 miles in the short space of 27 days, entered Addis Ababa, thus wrested from Italian hands after an occupation lasting since 1936. The city was surrendered by the Italians without any attempt at resistance. The Italian viceroy, the Duke of Aosta, and part of the garrison had already withdrawn. In the picture, a well-known Transvaal regiment, headed by its pipers, is seen marching through the liberated town, accompanied by delighted Abyssinians who, after 5 years under fascist yoke, had been freed from virtual slavery. A month later, on May 5th, the 5th anniversary of the entry of the Italian troops into the capital, Emperor Haile Selassie returned in triumph and was greeted by all his religious and military leaders. So here we see that the South African troops, and they piping on down the road. Yeah, and many Abyssinians would have probably been like, yes, we're freed from the Italians. And they got their emperor back, which they probably were happy to see him at the time. An angry Germany moved her troops into Yugoslavia. April 6, 1941. Another victim of German aggression. Germany's anger after the coup d'etat, which had spoiled her plans in Yugoslavia, at once reached fever pitch. A campaign of abuse began in the German press. Atrocities against German residents in Yugoslavia were alleged, and German consular officials were called home. On April 6, without declaration of war or previous warning, Germany invaded Yugoslavia and Greece. Aid from Britain and America to the invaded countries was immediately promised, but the new government in Belgrade had no time to make preparations against attack, and the country was quickly overrun. The pictures show, top left, tank traps being pushed aside by German tanks during the march in. Right, uprooted rail tracks after a bombing raid by below left, Yugoslav infantrymen waiting for the invader. Right, light tanks and motorcycle combination of a German Panzer division moving into Yugoslavia. So yeah, there we see the anti-tank things just being pushed aside by the German tanks. The Germans saying, we don't care, we're pushing into Yugoslavia. And they do. Here we see those tank tracks being uprooted from a recent bombing attack, which looks pretty devastating. Here we see those Yugoslavian troops waiting for the Germans to enter, and they're going to fire on them, obviously, whenever they see them. And here we see the motorcycles and basically an APC. It's not what that is, but it's an anti-personnel vehicle, more or less, entering in. Belgrade bombed and occupied by the German hordes. April 6th to 12th, 1941. Ruthless attack on Yugoslav capital. The German onslaught on Yugoslavia opened with a savage bombing raid on Belgrade in the morning of April 6th. In spite of the fact that the capital had been declared an open city, 3 further attacks took place during the day, rivaling the ferocity of the earlier raids on Warsaw and Rotterdam. Although the small Yugoslav Air Force gallantly attacked the numerically superior enemy formations, thousands of civilians were killed and much of the city laid in ruins. Above, an aerial view of part of the city just after the first raid, showing fires raging in several quarters. Right, German tanks passing General von Kleitz in front of the parliament after the occupation of the city on April 12th. So there we can see much of Belgrade on fire and damage after the first raid. Just awful. Especially, it was a free city, but they didn't care. And there's General Kleitz. General von Kleitz, my bad. And the Panzers passing in front of him in front of the Capitol building, which just unfortunate. Drive on the Balkans. German column advance in Greece. April 6, 1941. First day of Balkan advance. Germany began the attack on Greece by an advance through the Rupel Pass into the Stroman Valley, leading from Bulgaria into Greece. The view to the capture of Salonika and the cutting off of the Greek troops in eastern Thrace from their main body. The picture shows various aspects of the advance. Top left, a German motorized unit protected by anti-aircraft guns against surprise attacks from the air. Pressing on through the rough Balkan countryside on their way to the Greek frontier. Below, German artillerymen hauling an 8 by 8 centimeter gun across a pontoon bridge hastily erected over a Balkan river. Right, a German tank ablaze after it received a direct hit from German artillery. The trailer ropes on the left of the picture show that it was aiding another damaged vehicle when it was itself damaged. There we see the German anti-aircraft guns. They want to protect from any surprise attacks because they could come whenever, so they have to make sure that their men and their troops are well protected. Here we see them moving those artillery over the hastily constructed pontoon bridge And yeah, a lot of these bridges were made during this war, so... But yeah, they would have to hurry along the supplies, and so they would make these quick pontoon bridges. And here we see that Greek tank, after it just been bombed. You can kind of see the lines that they were talking about of it dragging another damaged vehicle. But yeah, Greece gets kind of overwhelmed by the German advance here. Advance on Salonika. Agrian port occupied. April 8th, 1941. The Nono-Germans roll on. German armored divisions captured at Dedingak on April 7th, thus cutting off Greece from Turkey. And on the following day, the rapid advance down the Vardar Valley after the Yugoslavs had withdrawn from southern Serbia enabled the Nono-Germans to occupy Salonika. Greek and British troops had destroyed the port installations before the Germans' occupation. The picture showed German anti-tank gunners who took part in the Balkan operations in action against the Greek mechanized units. So there we see those German troops doing their best to be prepared or attack the enemy, as being shown here. And this is going to be the last page for today. Berlin gets a taste of its own medicine. April 9th, 1941. Bomb damage in German capital. On the night of April 9th, British airmen made the heaviest attack on Berlin, which the city had so far suffered. Neutral reports said that the terrific damage was done, especially in the government quarter, and that the civilian casualties amounted to more than 2,000. The State Opera House, from which flames are seen pouring out in the picture above, Prussian State Library, Bellouf Palace, and the new palace at Potsdam, suffered severely from the effects of the heavy, high-explosive bombs. So yeah, we see there. And yeah, Berlin gets heavily damaged. A lot of historical things are just destroyed in this town, but it happens in London too, so... But yeah, and this will very anger Funny Mustache Man here. Well, alright, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you.